I'm here with 4 very special people. I'm here with 4 funeral directors from our area, and they've agreed, or maybe they were voluntold to be a part of this interview, so we can talk about death and life and the hope that we have in Christ. Well, one of the things that we're dealing with right now is there's a lot of people grieving right now, and you minister to people and families that are grieving. So what's maybe one piece of advice or encouragement you would give to somebody who's watching that's grieving right now? How can they heal? What's the process for that?
I think that in itself is a tough question, but I also think by asking the question, you're almost saying like there is a perfect way to do so, and there's not. Everyone is different. And I think that actually is one of the big problems. People look around and they say, well, this person lost their son and they seem to be doing okay and I can't get out of bed. It's really not a comparison. It's really what you need to do every day just to move forward and to take that step. Whether that's seeking help from someone, maybe it's calling your pastor, maybe it's a friend that you can rely on, reaching out to other people is huge. But to say that there's a cookie cutter way to heal and walk through grief is really kind of insane to say, because it isn't. Because my relationship with my wife is different than your relationships with your wife or your relationship with your husband. So when I lose my wife per se, I'm going to react differently because our relationship was different. Me and you are not going to react the same way if we lose our spouse. And so to say that there's a right or wrong way, I don't think so. I think it's surrounding yourselves with people that are going to love on you, care for you, help lift you up, prayer, a lot of things like that I think are more important than putting timestamps on where you should be.
Yeah, that's helpful. So don't compare yourself
Absolutely
to another
not.
person's
Absolutely
process.
not.
Yeah.
You look at people look at, there's no, as Ryan said, there's no set path to go to, but in their minds, in the person's minds, they think they're taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back, when in reality they're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It just doesn't seem to progress as quickly as what they may want. But above all else, for anybody that is grieving now and they're looking for any type of hope or anything of that nature of what they can do to go forward, it's what they feel comfortable with. But the one thing that we all know is that Jesus is not going to leave you alone. God is not going to desert you. And I paraphrase Pastor Daling when I say the last words of Jesus on earth can be summarized by your 5 fingers on your hands. I am always with you. And if you can take that with you and use that as your guide to help remember that even though you may feel alone in this journey to this new normal that you're going to be coming into, you still have not only Jesus there with you, but also your church families. And if you don't belong to a church, you can get that kind of guidance if you know somebody who goes to a church. Encourage them, get involved, ask about that guidance and that hope that we all have.
Sorry. I heard it once said, and it stuck with me, for people grieving, that what grief really is an unexpressed love. So with your loved ones not here, so you can't show them in that way how you love them, and you can't convey that to them. So it's a way to look at it that way, that you really are it's just an unexpressed love. So hopefully at time you can see it, that what it is, and to look at to others who are still here, that there is that way to express that love to them, that there's still time to do that and to have that in your life.
I would say with grief, there's no timeline. There's no normalcy. It does look different for everybody, whether you lost someone a year ago or 40 years ago. It could still feel like yesterday, 40 years from now. And as long as you have that support system, you have somebody that shows up for you, whether that looks like just sitting with you while you lay in bed, whether that looks like talking about it, or whether that looks like your friend coming over and talking about their life, and you get to kind of escape what you're going through, and you just say, hey, for a minute, can you just tell me what you're doing today? Because my day doesn't look the best, and I want to just get out of, this feeling. Whatever that may be, grief is something that everybody deals with. Every single person, one day or another, is going to feel that way. And I just think it is how you surround yourself with others, really, because when you're down and you're falling down and you're in that type of state in that morning, you need people to lift you up, or you will not get up sometimes.
Well, one question I have on here, a lot of people watching are also walking with people who are grieving, or want to know how can they help someone who's grieving, because God has called us to that too, as ministers of the gospel. So what advice would you give to someone who's watching that may be trying to help someone who is grieving in their family or friend or coworker? What would you say to them?
Little things. Just
Okay.
a card, a text, a phone call, just maybe even just sitting and letting them talk. I mean, little things. Trying to fix where they're at never works, but just walking with them, hearing them, understanding where they're at, I think is key. As you know, you interviewed Tim and Val Somerset last year for this similar thing, and Valerie works for us, and she has said it many times that sometimes just that little note or a text or something goes a long way, because sometimes it feels like that people have forgotten, maybe that people don't care. And I know that's not true, and she does too, but it's just those little things that kind of just are that encouragement for the time is always important.
I would say definitely showing up, whether the person that's going through a loss says that they don't need anything, still go. Mow their yard, give them supper on their table, do their laundry. Things that they may not ask, because I think in our profession, because we serve so many families, we always tell our families, if you need anything, call us. And if they did call, we would do anything for them. The problem is when people really need something, they don't want to ask. So if you have those close friends that just never leave your side, whether you want them there or not, I think as the weeks go on, the months or years go on, you'll be very grateful that they were there and they were helping with the little things. And then I also, something that a family has shared with me before was they were so blown away that people remembered on the anniversaries. So the date is so special to them, they don't forget it. They don't forget. And so if you're going to send them a card or a text message, and you think that this might be, it's going to hurt their feelings more, or they're going to, remember. Well, they're going to remember forever. And they want their loved one to be remembered. They want you to say their name, to talk to you about them and their memories. And so I think, sometimes us as humans, we feel like we might say the wrong thing, and that's never good. So I think sometimes people are hesitant to reach out because they're afraid if they say the wrong thing. But I think as long as you're there and you show up for someone, that's all you could do.
Yeah, I would say the same things as, when a person loses someone, the time leading up to the visitation and the service, it's some crazy days for them. There's so much going on. People are concerned about them, checking in, and they have the service, and then once the service is over, life's supposed to go back to normal. You're supposed to go back to work, but you're still grieving. And I think a lot of times the family and friends may go back to their life too, thinking they're going back to their life as well. So I think the things you guys said, just checking in with them after that, because it's easy to lose contact with those people once the service is over. But for family and friends to keep reaching out afterwards, showing that they care, things like that, it goes a long way.
I can't add anything any different than what you all said.
Yeah.
It's all perfect.